So a while back, I planned and even scripted a video where I discussed what if Ben 10 were somehow a part of the DC universe. It was this whole thing that connected Ben to the morphogenetic field, but I realized even though it would make a lot of sense for Ben to be in that universe, considering WB owns the character and also DC Comics, folding him over into that universe wouldn't be a problem. But although I'm a fan of both, my knowledge on Marvel is greater than my knowledge on DC. So while I work on that video, I present to you what if Ben 10 was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Our story starts just as the original. It started when an alien device did what it did and stuck itself upon the wrist of 10-year-old Ben Tennyson. But just like in Dimension 23, the powerful device was meant for his grandfather Max, although it arrived too late as the former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent had passed away before its arrival. Months passed and Ben had gotten used to his powers. He was reckless, and even though he was supposed to keep a low profile, that never stopped him from helping others. He started with 10 aliens: Wild Mutt, Heat Blast, Forearms, Accelerate, Diamond Head, Ghost Freak, Stinkfly, Grey Matter, Ripjaws, and Upgrade, and dubbed himself Ben 10. As much as people thanked these heroes for saving them, others didn't like that these random outsiders were helping save the day. When Ben was 13, a god from the stars known as Loki attacked New York with an alien army known as the Chitauri, and a team of superheroes called the Avengers rose to the occasion and stopped the threat, inspiring the young hero even more. Being an on-again, off-again hero was tough, but Ben wanted to help. He gained more aliens such as Blitzwolfer, Wildvine, Snarrow, Frankenstrike, Cannonball, Upchuck, Eye-Guy, Arsiguana, Spitter, Buzzshock, Ditto, and Feedback. And even though he could just fly or use Accelerate's super speed to get to New York and help the Avengers, he knew he'd be over his head, deciding to stay home in Bellwood to protect his family if need be. At age 18, Ben got even more aliens added to his arsenal, those being Jetray, Swampfire, Humongosaur, Echo Ego, Chromastone, Brainstorm, Goop, Spider Monkey, Big Chill, and Alien X. Although, unlike the original timeline, the Omnitrix's look would stay the same, and the new transformations would simply be added instead of the entire device being recalibrated. During this time, the organization S.H.I.E.L.D. discovered him, and the director Nick Fury saw something in the young boy. He recruited him to join S.H.I.E.L.D., and when Ben asked how they tracked him down, Fury just replied, "It wasn't hard. You're not very secret with the secret identity." They put him through a training test where he shocked everyone with his powers, leading Fury to send him off to fight alongside Coulson and the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After S.H.I.E.L.D. was compromised, Nick Fury got in contact with Ben and sent him on a mission with none other than the Avengers in order to track down Loki's staff. Together, they took down Hydra and stopped Ultron, and Ben was even a part of the Sokovia Accords Act and sided with the Iron Man himself, Tony Stark. Why side with Tony? Well, Ben never truly had a proper secret identity. Of course, he had to keep his powers a secret, but that didn't stop the world from figuring out who he was a couple years ago. But what mostly put the nail in the coffin for his decision was that He found out not only did the Winter Soldier kill both Howard and Maria Stark, but also Ben's grandpa Max as well. Ben and newcomer Spider-Man would get along greatly, and even keep in contact after these events. Now 20 years of age and unlocking alien forms at the drop of a hat, Ben would lay low for a while, but when his city needed him the most, he was called back to action. For Ben's first solo movie in the MCU, we get Secret of the Omnitrix. After a run-in with one of his villains known as Dr. Animo, Ben would accidentally cause his watch to malfunction, which sent a distress signal to a Petrosapien known as Tetrax. Unlike his original timeline, where Ben had known the aliens since he was 10 years old, this would be the two's first encounter with each other. Having not experienced any aliens outside of his transformations and the Chitauri, Ben immediately perceived Tetrax as a threat. The two would fight on multiple occasions, with Tetrax even calling help from fellow bounty hunter 6-6. All the while, Ben's Omnitrix continued to build up the charge for its self-destruction. Eventually, during one of their battles, Ben would realize that there was something seriously wrong with his watch, which is when Tetrax and 6-6 would finally get through to the adolescent hero. They traveled throughout the galaxy in search of Azimuth, the creator of the Omnitrix. While on this journey, Ben would meet the most dangerous threat he'd ever met so far, Vilgax the Conqueror, who had been searching for the Omnitrix all this time. Vilgax used to be a member of the Chimera army on his planet, but was exiled due to his extreme tendencies, and in order to get back at his race for turning on him, he decided to seek a device so powerful that would make his entire planet, along with the universe, bow to his feet. Ever since his trip on Earth in the early 1770s, he's heard rumors of a device that would be able to transform the user into any sentient alien species at will, and he swore to himself that the power that device held would be his to control. After they find Azimuth on the planet of Xenon, it's revealed that the Galvan had been keeping an eye on Ben and his adventures by watching him through the nanotech within the Omnitrix. Experiencing how Ben used the device in ways not even he would think of, Azimuth, who formerly cared very little for life in the universe, had a change of heart, and after explaining to the hero the purpose of the Omnitrix, he deactivates the watch before giving Ben the official Omnitrix, a version of the watch he'd been creating ever since Ben found the prototype years ago, as well as unlocking a new transformation for Ben, who the hero dubbed Waybig, and used to defeat Vilgax by throwing him into space. After these events, Ben would find himself joining the Guardians of the Galaxy, and help them defeat Ego the Living Planet. In between the events of getting a new watch and the Infinity War, Ben's life got a whole lot bigger. We'd see these events take place in a comic book tie-in, taking place just before Infinity War. He now had become a famous superhero amongst the stars, helping life forms from galaxy to galaxy wherever and whenever he could. He even got to travel through time and dimensions on a few occasions, thanks to a new friend and ally of his, Professor Paradox, who he met during his mission to prevent the hybrid invasion, and did so with the help of the Guardians along with Tetrax and 6-6, stopping the invasion before it could even reach Galvan Prime, and gaining a form of master control of the Omnitrix in the process. Now, this master control is not what we see in Alien Force. He isn't unlocking all of his transformations the watch had to offer, but he's able to stay as a transformation as long as he wants, and also jump from alien to alien with just a thought. After an encounter with the Incursions, Ben began hearing rumors of an alien known as Thanos, who had been going from planet to planet, killing off half of the species before doing the same to the next world. Knowing Gamora would be aware of his name, he decided to consult the Guardians about the topic, but that's when they get a distress beacon from the Statesman. Ben would reunite with Thor, who he hadn't seen in about 3 years, and the team was split into two, with Thor, Rocket, and Groot heading off to Nidavellir to create a weapon that could defeat the Mad Titan. Ben, along with the rest of the team, headed off to find Thanos on Nowhere. After his first fight with Thanos, Ben would leave an impression on the Titan, with Thanos stating he heard stories of the hero of heroes across the stars and wouldn't believe he'd be anything else. After Thanos got away with Gamora, Ben and the Guardians would leave to the Titan homeworld, where Ben would reunite with Iron Man and Spider-Man for the first time in a while. The battle on Titan would remain the same, with Ben, the Avengers, and the Guardians giving it their all in order to stop Thanos, but none of it was enough. Ben absorbed Thanos' energy attacks with Chroma Stone and feedback. He transformed into Brainstorm in order to predict his enemy's next move, and even had trouble as Atomics with his nuclear abilities, but the power of the stones continued to challenge him, and eventually he'd fall as well, unable to fight due to his Omnitrix having timed out, caused by the multiple quick changes and transformations. This Titan was so powerful, he reminded Ben of Vilgax. Ben's watch timed in just in time, but not enough. Just when the hero decided that it was time to bring out Alien X, Thanos had already retrieved the Time Stone from Doctor Strange in exchange for Tony Stark's life. After Thanos traveled to Earth and retrieved the Mind Stone, Ben was disintegrated into ashes along with half of the universe. 5 years later, Ben would be returned to life and along with many others had been transported to the now destroyed Avengers facility via Sling Ring and fought against Thanos' army. During the battle, Ben would meet up with his cousin Gwen and his old enemy Kevin, who had both not only become superheroes in their own right, but were now dating as well. After these events, Ben would attend the funeral of Tony Stark, then create a team known as Alien Force with Gwen and Kevin. The three would not only protect and defend the Earth both by and from aliens, but would also travel to different planets whenever they could in order to help those in need. Ben was aware that he'd missed a lot during those 5 years he was gone, and knew he had a lot of catching up to do, which is why he'd also been working with Nick Fury on the side, working with him on the Skrulls' flagship in space whenever he could, doing as much work as he could to make up for those years he was gone. And that has been What If Ben 10 Was in the MCU. Well, phases 1 through 3 at least. I really hope you enjoyed this as much as I had writing it. Thing is, there were so many ways I could have taken this. I even considered Ben being in Captain America the Winter Soldier. But I'm glad the way that I mapped it out and how it started with Ben working with Nick Fury and ended with Ben working with Fury, as well as finally getting that Alien Force trio that we love so much. I'd say we probably get a Disney Plus show centered around what Gwen and Kevin did in the 5 years Ben was gone. And in that show, we could see how Gwen found out about Enedites and how Kevin came to work with her. There could also be a few more seasons taking place after Ben came back, showing Ben and Kevin's relationship develop and how Ben reacts to these new threats that have been showing up because he wasn't around to protect Earth. The show could also introduce Rook and a mysterious hero, Spanner, who shows up out of nowhere to help out before disappearing again and eventually joining the team, unbeknownst to the rest of the team that he's from the future. Also, although I called the series Alien Force, I'm seeing the series as Omniverse, having various adventures with 10-episode seasons, with the last 2 episodes being 2-parters, where sometimes Ben goes on a mission with Rook, sometimes he's by himself or with Gwen and Kevin, with everyone having a healthy amount of episodes to be in. In the last season, I'd have the Forever Knights be the big threat, which would then lead into a movie, Ben 10 versus the Negative 10, with the Negative 10 being led by Driscoll, who's been gathering up Ben's enemies from previous seasons of the show. The movie would take place in space during the team's intergalactic road trip, which is a homage to what Omniverse would have done had it gotten another season. I feel like once Ben gets into space, that's when things really start to kick off for me. Because once Ben sees Tetrax, whether it be in the original series, the reboot, or Dimension 23, that's when his world begins to expand. And once I started writing that part, I couldn't stop. I did my best combining both this version of the Marvel Universe as well as the universe of Ben 10, kind of asking what Ben would have become if he didn't have Max. So basically, Ben 23 if he were more mature, and I basically made Nick Fury and Tetrax Ben's substitutes for Max. I've always wanted to see Tetrax take a more mentor relationship with Ben, so I guess this was my way of filling that gap in for myself. But as always, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you want. Let me know what you think Ben would do if he were introduced in the MCU, and I'll see you when I see you.